Hey everyone, I've got a story that still gives me chills every time I think about it. It all started when my friends and I decided to rent a cabin in the woods for a weekend getaway. Just to escape the city and enjoy some nature. We found this cute little place online and it seemed perfect. The pictures showed a cozy cabin surrounded by trees, with a nice little lake nearby. What could go wrong? Right? We arrived on a Friday afternoon, and everything seemed normal at first. The cabin was just as advertised, rustic but charming. We unpacked, set up our stuff, and decided to explore the area. The lake was beautiful, and we spent the rest of the day swimming and lounging around. As the sun started to set, we headed back to the cabin to get ready for dinner. That's when things started to get weird. While we were cooking, we heard this strange noise coming from outside. It sounded like someone was walking around the cabin. But when we looked out the windows, there was no one there. We brushed it off as an animal or something and continued with our evening. After dinner, we decided to play some board games and have a few drinks. We were having a great time until we heard that noise again. This time, it was louder and closer. It sounded like footsteps on the porch. My friend Mike, being the brave one, decided to go check it out. He opened the door and stepped outside. But again, there was no one there. We were all a bit freaked out at this point, but we tried to laugh it off. Maybe it was just our imaginations running wild. We went back inside and continued our game, but the atmosphere had definitely changed. We were all on edge, listening for any more strange sounds. Around midnight, we decided to call it a night. We all went to our rooms and tried to get some sleep. I was sharing a room with my friend Sarah, and we were both having trouble falling asleep. Just as I was starting to drift off, I heard a whisper. It was so faint that I thought I was imagining it at first. But then I heard it again, clearer this time. It was a woman's voice, whispering my name. I sat up in bed, my heart pounding. Sarah was already awake, and she looked just as scared as I felt. "Did you hear that?" she whispered. I nodded, too scared to speak. We both listened, but the whispering had stopped. We decided to go check on the others, just to make sure everyone was okay. We found Mike and our other friend Jess in the living room. They were both wide awake and looked terrified. Mike said he had heard the whispering too, and Jess swore she saw a shadow moving outside her window. We were all officially freaked out now. We decided to stick together in the living room for the rest of the night. We turned on all the lights and tried to stay awake, but exhaustion eventually got the better of us. I must have dozed off at some point because I woke up to the sound of someone crying. It was a soft, mournful cry, and it was coming from outside the cabin. We all heard it, and we were too scared to move. The crying continued for what felt like hours, but it was probably only a few minutes. Then, just as suddenly as it started, it stopped. We sat there in silence, too scared to even breathe. As soon as the sun came up, we packed our stuff and got out of there as fast as we could. We never did find out what caused those noises or who or what was whispering our names. But one thing's for sure, I'm never staying in a cabin in the woods again. So, that's my creepy story. If you ever find yourself in a similar situation, my advice is to get out while you can. Thanks for listening, and stay safe out there.